All right, guys, so this is going to be the start of the collar sleeve series. I'm just going to do a brief overview of what the position's about, how you can get to it, and how it kind of fits into your game.
We started off with the double sleeve, starting with like a shallow lasso here and then this leg past the body or in the bicep. So from a purpose of setup, which we're going to get into later in the grip fighting series, a lot of times I'm going to start with this single lasso position, right? Before we get two sleeves, usually we have to get one sleeve. So often when I have this single lasso, the guy will grab this leg and that'll give me access to double sleeve. It's a great position to control from. I can stall, attack, whatever, right? But some guys are gonna hide that hand a lot because they don't want you to get double sleeve, right? So it's gonna be kind of hard to get that double sleeve there. So then going to this collar grip is gonna become very powerful. Now, I don't have to play this just because he doesn't grab this leg. Even if he grabs this leg, I can still play with the collar sleeve, but it's important to understand kind of the dynamic of how these two positions connect together. This single lasso will turn into a lot of other positions. I can go collar sleeve, I could go double sleeve, I could go cross sleeve, which I won't cover in this series, but collar sleeve, double sleeve, I can go past the body. You know, I could break here, start going over to here. All these positions will start transitioning off of this, okay? So the collar sleeve is usually, it's different than the double sleeve. A lot of it's focused around chasing this omoplata, going for triangles, using De La Riva hooks, off balancing backwards, getting the foot on the hip, attacking from here. This can even turn into like keymaster stuff, starting to work underneath. So we're gonna start building off of this, but again, it's just important to understand the kind of connection between, I could be here with this single lasso, and from here I can go to double sleeve if he grabs here. If he's not grabbing, or even if he is grabbing, doesn't matter, I can also go here and start building a collar sleeve series. So these two are gonna interconnect well together. After this series, we're gonna switch into more of the ankle control and learn to build off of this. And then as we go into the grip fighting stuff, we're slowly gonna learn how do you stop the guy from passing and how do you establish one of those initial entanglement grips, right? So being able to build off of that single sleeve grip is really important for the starting of open guard, because most people struggle when the guy approaches their guard because they're trying to get to a guard, but you need kind of these like initial start grips. So this position is gonna build off of that single sleeve control or that single lasso. You can go to double sleeve or collar sleeve and start building from there.
All right, so let's look at the basics of controlling the collar sleeve.
The first thing to understand is when we have this shallow lasso here, collar sleeve, I'll have the shallow lasso a lot. Sometimes it'll be a De La Riva hook. Sometimes the foot will be on the hip. Sometimes it'll be this kind of keymaster position. So there's a lot of different leg positions, but usually we're gonna start in it from this kind of shallow lasso. So when I have the double sleeve, I don't have to worry so much about him pushing this leg down or trying to pass this way, because when I have this sleeve controlled, he can't push this leg down. So if I don't have this, he can push this down. Now he can start trying to go this way and do things like that, right? But when I have double sleeve, he can't push it down, so it's kind of a stable position. So collar sleeve is a little bit different because we have to worry more about what this arm is doing. We don't have complete control. That's why usually I start with double sleeve. It's more simplistic. You don't have to worry about as much because you have control. Collar sleeve, there's a little bit more movement. Okay, so first thing to understand is the balance with this lasso and De La Riva hook like this, okay? So let's say that I start and I have like a De La Riva hook here and collar sleeve like this. If he starts to kill this leg here and starts passing this way, I'm in trouble, right? So go back. So when I'm here, if he kills this leg and starts pushing it down to trap this way, I'm gonna lasso and I can use this foot on the shoulder to kind of help push and recenter, get my foot back in the bicep, and now I can go back to collar sleeve. From here, I could attack omoplatas and triangles. I'll get more into those in a minute. I could attack from here. If he has his elbow tight, I might go to a De La Riva hook and I'm pretty safe here. But again, anytime this leg starts getting killed, I'm getting a little bit in danger. So often I'm gonna lasso the foot, push, and come back. Now, if I'm here and he starts circling this way a lot, if I just stay in this lasso forever, it can start to feel a bit strange. So if I have this lasso and he starts circling this way a lot of times I'll unlasso and I either go to the De La Riva hook or just kind of go leg past body. So this collar grip, when you're in collar sleeve, I'll have it most of the time when I'm attacking, but sometimes I'll let go. So there's kind of this skill set and just learning to control with the sleeve. So what that kind of looks like here is like, say I'm like this, so you push this down, start going this way. I lasso, I push, I go here, maybe he starts circling this way. I could unlasso, he starts to go back the other way. I go here, if I need to, I can use this hand to center. Anytime I want, I can go back to the collar, start attacking. But understanding this basic mechanic of him killing this leg, going this way, lasso, foot on the shoulder, use that to center up. He starts to circle this way. I can unlasso, go back here. He goes the other way. I go here, can center up, go back to the collar, start attacking. That's a really important basic thing to understand. You don't want to end up in that position with your left leg off the lasso, kind of in the air or a De La Riva hook, and him killing your right leg and circling. If you don't lasso there, he can pass. Right. So let's say I was here and I go for this De La Riva hook. He kills this. See, if I stay here, again, I'm at risk. Right. So what we want to focus on is I'm here doing this. He starts to kill this leg. Lasso, push, get the foot back in the bicep, go back to the collar. I can attack from here, go to the De La Riva hook, and start building from there.
Okay, so with the collar sleeve, there's a few different variations or grip positionings you're gonna do. The first position we're gonna start in is what I like to call the near side collar sleeve. So we're gonna start building off the foundations of that. So go ahead and stand up.
Near side collar sleeve I define as, it's when I have collar sleeve and my leg is on the outside of his elbow and knee. So I'm out here, right? I could have collar sleeve with the foot on the hip, and this is gonna function a bit different. There's a lot of different things I can do from here. If he pulls his elbow tight, it could also turn into this kind of keymaster hook. So with the collar sleeve, there's a lot of different variations of how my body can be, but I think the foundational one I always start with is this kind of classic leg outside position, which is gonna build off of the lasso on the shoulder or the De La Riva hook. Okay? And the reason I often start with this is most people, when they pass, they're leading with their right leg. It's not everyone, but a lot of people, I think the large majority, lead with their right leg. So if someone's leading with their right leg and trying to grab my lapel or something, I'm often going to be lassoing with this leg to defend the pass, because as he goes this way, like I showed before, I'll push and come back here, and it kind of builds this common situation where I lasso, I get this leg out, go for the collar, and now I can start building my attacks. Okay, so that's what I call near side collar sleeve. So a lot of near side collar sleeve, the primary attacks you're going to be doing are going to be based off of chasing this omoplata or triangle, or doing some kind of a De La Riva hook sweep variation. Okay, anytime this elbow knee gap is open, that's going to expose the possibility of an omoplata or a triangle threat. If his elbow and knee are really tight and I can't get inside that space, keep it really tight. Right? And I can't get inside that space, then this hook is going to be really strong, right? If his leg is straight as a board, then that hook, I can't do it, right? A lot of people complain that they're not flexible enough, it's just the wrong time. So when his leg is straight, there's nothing for your foot to hook onto, right? So in those cases, usually though, this gap will open, and that's going to expose the omoplata, or the triangle, or the omoplata, right? If the elbow and knee is tight, then this hook is going to be strong, and then that makes it easier to start off balancing him backwards, off balancing him forwards, right? If during all this, the big thing is whenever I unlasso to go for the omoplata or triangle, that's often where I have to worry a little bit more about this leg getting killed. If I'm here and I already have the lasso, okay, if I'm here and I already have the lasso and he kills this, it's not as big of a threat because this lasso foot kind of protects me. I can push, get the leg back out, and I'm okay, right? Whenever I unlasso to start trying to attack the De La Riva hooks or the omoplatas, that's when I have to be a little bit more careful. As this starts getting killed, we lasso, come back, just like I showed before, right? So again, we're here when we want to attack on this. Our goal is to either get inside here for the omoplata or triangle, or if his elbow is really tight, to start using the De La Riva hook. That's the basic series we're going to be building off of.
All right, so let's look more in depth at going for the omoplata or the triangle.
Okay, so we're here, we have collar sleeve. So when I go for the omoplata or triangle, I can go for it from the De La Riva hook position or from the lasso. Either one is okay. The main thing to go for it is that my right leg has to be in his bicep, or at minimum it has to be free. I can't go for the omoplata or triangle while this leg is killed. If he's pushing this towards the floor, even if I get in here like this is stuck, I can't finish the omoplata or triangle, he can start trying to go this way, right? So I always need to have this foot out, either on the bicep or in the shoulder, or even if like he's got his hand back, I could even be here like this. As long as this is not killed, I always have the option of shooting for the triangle or omoplata, okay? So we're just gonna presume right now I have this right foot in the bicep. We could start with a lasso maybe. Let's turn this side, perfect. Right. So here, if I ever notice this elbow gap open, there's always an opening for an omoplata or a triangle attempt. Okay, if I'm gonna go for the triangle here, usually he can't have a good grip on my pants. If he has a grip on my pants here, then when I shoot for the triangle, as I try to go up, this control on this leg, he can stiff arm down and I can't actually get to the triangle, right? However, a lot of times when you're here, guys will be trying to loop this leg to kill this. So loop it, okay. See, and he's gonna try to push it down, then I got a lasso and stuff, right? But often when I'm here, go ahead and start looping, as he tries to loop it really hard, yeah. See, and I'm doing this stuff. See, a lot of times as he lets go, he'll leave that open, right? He's no longer holding the leg. If he happens to leave this gap open during this time, now I can start shooting my hip up for the triangle choke, okay? What I wanna do is just like in the double sleeve, I kinda wanna just do like a hip up, and then I just grab his back with my leg so I can kind of lock in. From here, I'll try to push the arm across and start breaking him down, okay? Again, this is built off him not holding this pant leg. So again, I'm here, I have the shallow lasso, he's trying to loop really hard. I keep trying to keep this going. Notice how every time, go over here, every time he loops, right, I'm trying to be really quick about coming back to the bicep. If you're really slow with this and lazy, so loop it, and he gets a good grip, now I have to push more and try to get my foot back out, right? So I want to kind of be difficult with this. So as he keeps looping here, I'm doing this. See here, he leaves that open, I go across, just like that, okay? Now, if he's holding the pant leg, then, and he leaves this gap open, now I can go for the omoplata, but in this case, I'm gonna step off the bicep. So what I do here, because he has the pant leg, I can't shoot the triangle, right? So, but he leaves the gap open. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna step down hard on this bicep here like this, and I lift my hip up high to go for the omoplata. Now, here I could go directly for the omoplata. Another thing I like to do sometimes, posture up really hard, is I like to lock my left leg over the back like this, almost like closed guard, because it kind of helps break his posture. And then I try to get away a little bit, and now I'm gonna hook my leg over his shoulder here, and now I can start sitting up and scooting back to go for the omoplata, okay? So, again, the primary thing there is you want to focus on what is this hand doing? Is it on the pants jamming, or is he trying to loop? And is this gap open? This gap won't always be open, right? But again, like you have to perceive the position that your opponent is in. If I see that he's leaving this gap open, I know that there's a good chance I can get that attack, right? So I'm here like this, so we're here, so now he's holding the pant leg and I see that gap open. I'm gonna step my right foot towards it. Go ahead and let go real quick. I'm gonna step my right foot towards the floor like this, on his bicep. And that'll do two things. It'll break his posture and allow me to lift my hip up like this, right? So that breaks his posture, boom, lock the leg over the back, try to back up a little bit, and then now I hook over here, start sitting up and trying to go arm over the back. There's a lot of different finishes for the omoplata. That's just kind of a basic one. I'm not gonna go super in depth on finishing the omoplata. This is just the setup from here. Okay, so one more time. We're here. Like this. Okay, we're here, right? So then he leaves that gap open. I'm gonna step down really hard on this and go up here. Now notice if I go here and he lets go of this, now I can switch back to the triangle really easy. That's a very common thing. And sometimes when you kick down hard on that bicep, it shocks the guy and his grip's not that tight and he might even lose the grip in the first place. So I might be here like this and I do this and he lets go and now I'll just claw my way into that triangle.
All right, guys, so this video we're gonna talk about the importance of your lapel grip. So go up.
A lot of people have a tendency when they're going for collar sleeve, they always want the grip high on the collar. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends on the attack that I'm doing. Often when I'm shooting for an omoplata or a triangle, I like a lower lapel grip. It's kind of counterintuitive because you would think that the high lapel grip is going to break the guy's posture best, but actually the low lapel grip can work really good. The difficulty here is that if the guy wasn't strong enough, then sure, this might work good. But if the guy is really strong when I go for this posture up really hard here, this can become really hard on my hand and he can actually keep deadlifting through this. He can deadlift and it just becomes really hard to hold, okay? But if instead, when I grab the lapel, like say he's already postured up a little bit like this, the lower I grip, actually the easier it is to keep my arm close to me and this breaks his posture. It's almost if you imagine like there was like a rope tied around his neck and a weight hanging off. A hanging weight's more difficult to control because it kind of sways out, right? When you lock on here, he can really distribute his weight really strong there, right? So what I do is if I have my grip here and I feel like he's really strong posturing, I'll let it slide down a little bit, keep posturing hard here. Now it's much harder for him to posture, even if he kept posturing really hard. There, I could even go lower like this. And now as I feel him give out and come back down a little bit, I might go high again, right? So you can actually adjust this grip a lot, and that makes a big difference in your ability to chase, right? Also, if I want to shoot my hip up for the triangle or omoplata, my hip has to go up, right? So the higher I am on this, right, posture up a little bit, I can't really go up with my hip because my upper body is up so much. The lower I go here, see posture up really hard, see now I can actually climb really easy with this. I can go for the triangle. If he's holding the pants, I might just lock here, try to get back and switch to the omoplata. So actually having that low lapel grip is very counterintuitive, actually makes it easier to break his posture and easier to shoot your hip up. Like if I was here like this and he doesn't have this, for example, and I'm here, it's really easy to start climbing up with this, right? Where if I'm here, posture up here a little bit, this is actually way harder for me to pull myself up here because my upper back is up, I can't get my hips to lift. So when I'm here, posture up again really high, like this, I can actually claw up this way. Even go ahead and deadlift all the way up. Like, see here, look, I could actually climb all the way up with that low lapel grip, right? So that low lapel grip makes a big difference in your ability to break the guy's posture, okay? And again, it's not that you should always grab low. It's just gonna depend on the context of what you're doing. But if you're controlling and you see that opening and you feel like he's posturing a lot or it's just really hard on your hand, go ahead and lower your lapel grip a lot. I just kind of loosen my grip, let it slide down a little bit, and then I start shooting for the omoplata and triangle. All right, so now let's look at the importance of letting go of the lapel when the opponent is trying to trap your leg. Sometimes we're here in the collar sleeve, we have the collar, we're trying to attack, and then he's gonna start looping this leg. He gets a decent grip and starts trying to trap it in between his legs, okay? So now sometimes when you're stuck here, you can hold kind of tight, right? Yeah, sometimes when you're kind of stuck here, it can be hard to get this leg back out, right? So of course, once he kills this leg, I want to lasso, right? But then this grip here actually makes it harder for me to create separation because I'm actually holding him somewhat closer to me with this. So sometimes when you feel like your leg is really stuck, I'm actually gonna let go of the collar, which gives me a lot more room. You see how I can kind of back up here by pushing this foot and I can loop my foot back into the bicep or to get it free again. And now that allows me to come back to the collar and I can start attacking again. Because again, as before, when this leg is killed, I can't really attack that omoplata or triangle. So now I have to push. That gives me all this room to move. If I'm here, I can't move in the same way. Like there, I get all this extra room for my leg to be mobile, to fight, to get back out, to come back to the collar, and now start attacking again, okay? So sometimes you need to let go of that lapel. If he pushes here, I may let go of the lapel, pinch your knees tight. Yeah, I may let go of the lapel. I may even push on his leg here like this. I can push on the shin, on the knee, and push really hard here to try to get this out. And he can't try to pass this way or club this way because my foot's here. If he was trying to try to grab my shoulder and drop for like a club pass or something, I can create too much separation with this foot pushing here. So as he drops in, I push, come back, and now like I could go to double sleeve if he was here. If he hides it, I go collar sleeve, shoot here, right? Again, that's a big connection with the double sleeve and collar sleeve, is if you're here a lot and he's like looking for this, right? And then I play collars, or I go for double sleeve and he hides it, then often the triangle's opening because it's not there. Again, I can shoot up and go for the triangle, okay? But again, the main idea here is he's killing the leg. We're trapped here. Okay, I let go of the collar, push. If I need to, I can push on the shin, get this foot back out, go back to the collar. Now I can start going for my attacks.
All right, so now let's start looking at using the daily Hebo hook and collar sleeves.
So what happens here now is we have the right foot in the bicep, right? And now here, the guy's keeping his elbow and knee kind of tight, right? So here, I can't really pull this tight because he's tight here. So in this case, this is gonna make the daily Hebo hook really strong. When I go for the daily Hebo hook, I kind of want to angle on my side a little bit so I get a strong hook because my leg can go this way. If I'm centered, it's really hard to have a strong daily Hebo hook because it's like your knee has to rotate out really wide. Ideally, I want my leg to be straight, which again is, if you're not that flexible, it's better for you because here it doesn't require flexibility, right? So this being a hook isn't gonna work here because I'm like more straight. But the more on my side I get, then the less I have to kind of rotate my knee inward and use flexibility to have a strong daily Hebo hook. Technically, if I was all the way here, stay where you are, right? Technically, if I was all the way here, now my foot's in a daily Hebo hook, but it's more or less like this. I don't have to bend the knee, right? So I get this strong hook. So when I'm here like this and he has the elbow really tight, right? And I can't get that triangle or omoplata, I want to kind of angle on the side to get this hook in really good, right? Now, once I get the hook in, now I have ways to off balance him and move him around. Okay, at any point, if he like opens this elbow knee again, I can start shooting for the omoplata and triangle, especially if this right foot is free, right? So I'm here, so I get the hook. So once I go here, one of the first things I like to try is I'm gonna use my elbow next to his foot because it makes it harder for him to turn his toes out for balance. Turn your toes out here. It makes it harder for him to turn his toes out for balance. And what I do is when I get this hook, I'm gonna start pulling the collar this way. I kind of pull my elbow up and pull this way. And I'm gonna drive with my foot that way. And I can create kind of an off balancing motion here to take him back. If he falls down, great, I can come up on top, right? Here, right, so we're like this in the lasso, I go for the omoplata or triangle, he pulls the elbow super tight, can't get it, I turn on my side, get this hook. Use the elbow behind the toes there, and I start lifting with my daily Hebo hook, right? I kind of kick back like this, because this creates this kind of off-balancing motion with my foot here. In addition, my right foot that's in his bicep or shoulder is kind of like doing this motion. I'm kind of pressing into his chest to knock him backwards. You can even, when you're doing this, sometimes, turn that way a little bit, you can even sometimes put the foot in the chest here, and that can create even more off balance here, right? And then now I drop him down here and come up on top. So we're here, we got the lasso maybe. I try to shoot the triangle omoplata, I can't get it. Turn on the side. I even use the foot and the bicep there to help get a good side angle here. Start pulling backwards. I could either do it with the foot and the bicep, or if I can get in the chest, I pull, start pushing this way, use that hook, knock him backwards and come up on top. Again, remember with all the techniques I'm showing, they work at the right time. If the guy's not in the right body positioning or his weight's a little bit more forward, you're gonna have to do a different technique. So all the techniques I'm showing, I'm trying to give you an answer for what I think are the most common responses your opponent could have. So when you're doing the technique, realize if you're trying to take the guy backwards and you can't take him backwards, it may not be that you're doing the technique wrong, it may be that the guy's body positioning is too far forward and you'll have to do another technique. So I'm gonna cover all the different possible combinations of what the guy can do, but just keep that in mind that as you're trying this. You're looking for the omoplata, you may not be able to get it because the guy's elbow and knee is tight. It doesn't mean you're doing the omoplata wrong, it just means the guy's elbow and knee is tight. So then you put a De La Riva hook in, try to take the guy backwards. If you can't take the guys backwards, he may be too far forward, and then we're gonna deal with that next. Okay, so now let's look at what happens when you try to take the guy backwards, but his weight's a little bit farther forward. Okay, so we're here. So we have the lasso, we go for the triangle omoplata, it's not available, his elbow's really tight. So I get this hook in. So now I wanna try to take him this way, but his left leg's probably a little bit more this way. So the more I try to go this way, it's like all of his balance is that way. So it's really hard to take him this way. So what I do is usually I try to go this way and he keeps his weight forward a bit. And now I'm gonna spin back to the center. I keep the hook, but I'm gonna turn back to the center and I'm gonna try to pull everything up overhead, right? So I'll go here and now I'm gonna go this way and I'm gonna bump him forward like this, right? So we'll be here, can't get the omoplata, I turn this way, I get the hook, I try to go that way and it feels weights forward. So now I center back up, I'm gonna drive my heel overhead and I'm kind of going center and lifting with this hook upward, right? So it's in tight and I go forward. Once I bump him forward, there's a lot of different options I can do. One common thing is, a lot of times when you bump him forward, they'll open up this elbow-knee gap. If that happens, I can shoot the leg in, go for the triangle, the omoplata, or worst case, I can shoot the closed guard as well, which is still always a benefit because now he has to get out of the closed guard and have a lot of great attacks, right? So I'm here, try to shoot for the omoplata or triangle, can't get it, go for the backwards one, can't get it, off balance him forward, shoot for the omoplata or triangle, shoot for closed guard, any of those things, right? Go back up one more time. Also keep in mind, while you're doing this, I'm here, I have this foot in the bicep, I go for the De La Riva hook, I try to take him backwards, I try to take him forwards, I can't quite get him forward, so he goes back a little bit, I try to go backwards, maybe I take him back. During all of this stuff, often this might open again, right? So even if I don't off balance him forward, if I ever notice this open, always pay attention for that. If it opens, I shoot again for the triangle or the omoplata, right? So you have to keep in mind what is he giving you, right? Again, train your mind to look for what is he giving you, not what you want to do. All right, so now let's look at another common response, which is your opponent popping their leg straight to get rid of the De La Riva hook. So a really easy attack to get here is when we have this lasso and we go for the De La Riva hook because his elbow and knee is really tight, we get this strong hook in. One of the most common responses people do when you have a good De La Riva hook is they're gonna pop their left leg straight to try to pop the hook out. So pop, exactly, see? Because when he does that with a lot of force, it's gonna pop your De La Riva hook out because you can't keep it, especially when he explodes with that leg because it pops it out. However, if you know that's a common response, we know that it can come, we can prepare for it. So one of the most common things that happens when he does that is he's gonna open up this elbow knee gap, right? So if I'm here and you start becoming really annoying with these De La Riva hooks, moving them around and stuff, when he pops that straight, I'm looking for that and I lead in with the knee. Once I get my leg in and I have my shin inside this gap here, now even if he pulls his elbow tight, I'm in. It's really hard for him to prevent. I can go through, start attacking the triangle or omoplata, right? So the elbow's tight here. Right, I get the hook in, I'm trying to do stuff, he pops it straight, boom. I lead in with the knee first. Now I'm gonna start trying to step off this bicep to go for the omoplata. If he lets go as I do this, then I just switch to the triangle, right? So I'm here, right? So I have the hook in, he pops the leg straight, boom, I go in. Look, I start trying to do this to go for the omoplata. If he lets go, then it's like my hip drops, right? Because I don't have anything to step off anymore, but that's fine. Now I pull the collar and just chase the triangle. So always look omoplata triangle, right? So I'm here like this, he pops it straight, boom, I go here, he lets go. Boom, I just climb and go for the triangle. Pull hard on that collar to kind of pull yourself up into it. Okay, so let's look at another option with the De La Riva hook. What can happen in this case is he's got the lapel, we have the collar sleeve, we have the hook. Now he's gonna be standing really close to that right leg again. And so here, what I'm gonna do, another variation of an overhead sweep, is if I see this other leg is really close to me, it can be hard to push his hip back or do other things. So what I'm gonna do is I just put the toes in the stomach. I don't need to break the grip or anything. If the legs are ever really square and he's close, this right toes in the stomach, very similar to one of the double sleeve overhead sweeps, is very easy to go toes in the stomach. And I'm just gonna poke straight up as I pull down on the collar. And he's gonna become super light, really easy to flip him overhead and go for the sweep, right? Again, I'm trying to train you guys to look for the patterns of what they could do, and you have to make the appropriate choice. So again, we're here like this. I have the hook in, right? Maybe I was thinking about going backwards or forwards, and his filly's really close with that. Toes in the stomach, pull the collar and poke straight up. He becomes super light. It's really easy to flip him overhead.